Good morning. This is Rachel from Infused Meadows, and I'm making chocolate chip cookies. I thought I would bring you along, and that way, if you want to make them, you can. Okay, this will not be a quick video or short. I will try to do those as I can, but you know, it's not going to happen all the time. So, we're going to start with our dry ingredients. For that, we're going to need 1 1/4 cup of flour. There's our 1 and our 1/4. I'm using plain flour or all-purpose, if you will. To our flour, we want to add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, or in the UK, it's corn flour. So 1 tablespoon. We're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, not baking powder, but baking soda. And you want to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And you want to whisk this to combine everything. So give it a good whisk. And then I'm going to set this aside and come back with the wet ingredients. So in a bowl, you want a 1/2 cup of slightly melted, not hot, unsalted butter. And then to this, we're going to add a 1/2 cup of white sugar. Put this up 1 second. And a 1/2 cup of firmly packed light brown sugar. Okay, 1 second. What you want to do is you want to cream these together until they are nice and combined. You may not need to see the whole process, so I'll bring you back when it's good and creamed. It takes just a few minutes. Once you have that creamed, you're going to drop in 1 large egg. And you're going to cream this a little bit more. You'll tell whenever it should lighten in color just a little bit, and everything looks nice and fluffy. It only takes maybe a minute. It should not take you long. You just want to make sure that egg is good and incorporated. It may not even take a minute. I turn my whisk to make sure that I get the full radius of the bowl. There you go. Be right back. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla, whether it's homemade or store-bought, doesn't matter. And you're going to just stir that in. And when you do this, just scrape the bowl down. Okay, to this, we're going to add in our dry ingredients. I like to do about half at a time. And this is a thick dough. And you're going to add the rest. You want to make sure that you scrape the bottom down because flour likes to settle. And once you get this nice and combined, you're going to add 1 cup of chocolate chips. Now, I don't buy store-bought. I just use my favorite chocolate, cut it up, and then that's what I like to use. But you use whatever you like. And you're just going to mix this in until it's nice and combined. And like I said, this, as you can tell, it's a thick dough. Make sure you take your spatula and go up and under so that if you do have any flour that's still sitting on the bottom, you get that pulled up and mixed in and you don't end up with a pile of flour or a pile of chocolate chips. Okay, once you get this nice and mixed in, what you want to do is you want to take some saran wrap and put it over the top. Put this in your refrigerator for at least an hour. You need this to start hardening up. They bake best when they've done that. And then once you've got that done, you want to roll out roughly tablespoon size balls. I use an ice cream scoop. And you're just going to space those out on your baking tray, or cookie sheet as I call it. You want to give them at least 1.5 inches apart. You're going to bake these at 350 degrees or 175 Celsius for 13 to 14 minutes. If you like a nice, soft, chewy center. So it'll be nice and crispy on the outside, not rock hard, and soft and chewy on the in the middle. Now, if you like a crunchier cookie, I don't know, try 14 to 15, maybe 16 minutes. This should make you about 18, maybe 19 cookies. And enjoy. Once they come out of the oven, you want to let them cool for just a minute. I usually put mine on a cooling rack after they've set on the tray for about 3 minutes. And then from there, you can eat them hot. I mean, my kids used to love these when they were little. Anyway, they will stay good at room temperature in an airtight container for at least a week. I've never seen them last longer than a couple of days. I mean, most people really like cookies. Now, what you can do is if you only want to bake off 3 of these, you can go ahead after that's hardened, form them into your balls, and then put those onto a baking tray and into the freezer. Once they're frozen, put them in a vacuum seal bag, vacuum seal them. They're good for at least 6 months frozen. And then you just pull them out, put them on your baking tray, and bake them as usual. I hope that you enjoy this if you give it a try. And if you don't like it, then as always, I hope you find the recipe that's right for you. And I hope you have a wonderful day.